Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is October 1st, 2025, and Hansi Flick has identified two more problems responsible for the team's disastrous performances against PSG and Sevilla. Also, Pep Guardiola has sent an advice to Hansi Flick on what to do given the current situation. And finally, Gilberto Mora's price. Well, it just shot up. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and as I told you on Thursday, I'm currently out of town. This is why I'm in this weird setup. I'm not back in my YouTube studio, and as always, when I travel, I do bring my camera with me. So this is why I'm doing this short live to keep you up to date on all Barcelona news. It's not a podcast. I won't be reading the comments live. Again, this is just to bring you the news while I'm on the road. Now, I did go live a few moments ago, so if you haven't seen that video yet, make sure you watch it after this one. Also, I'm going live in a few more minutes. So 3 videos today. Make sure to check all of them out. Anyways, so let's begin with the news because, ladies and gentlemen, Hansi Flick has detected more problems with the team. Now, as you know, Barcelona had a disastrous performances against PSG and Sevilla. Both led to Barcelona's defeats in the Champions League and La Liga, respectively. And since the FIFA international break, Hansi Flick has been working 24/7 to try to revert back to Barcelona's successful course that we were on last season, and in order, well, to fix the situation. And as I told you in a previous video, Flick has been on several meetings with his staff to discuss tactics, meetings with the doctors to discuss injuries, meetings with the physical trainers to discuss why the players' intensity has been going down, and even meeting with players themselves who have stayed behind and have not traveled with their national teams. Now, during all these meetings, all these talks, Hansi Flick has noticed two more problems with the players. Now, of course, we all know that the players have reduced their intensity. We've talked about that a lot. There's been a lot of statements from the players, Deco, Laporta, Flick, all of them discussing this, so we know that for sure. But now there are two more problems that Flick has identified, and well, one of them is the fatigue. Now, Hansi Flick always demands from his players high intensity, demands a lot of physical effort and exertions of his players. And of course, part of that is preparing them well. That's why he has brought some of the best physical trainers along with him to the team, including Julio Toes, who Barcelona hired for Hansi Flick's new project. Also, Hansi Flick always monitors his players' performance with GPS data. And he looks at that data to see how are the players performing. And this GPS data has revealed something to Hansi Flick that he has not liked, and that is that the players are showing fatigue levels earlier than last season. Now, obviously, as the season progresses, as more matches, as the players play more matches, and more competitions begin, the players' fatigue starts to increase. And right now, the players are showing fatigue levels that they were showing last season at the end of November. And we're only the beginning of October. So the players' fatigue levels are a month and a half. Fatigue is setting in a month and a half earlier than it set in last season. Of course, this has been a source of worry and concern for Hansi Flick. And as a result, he's been meeting with the physical trainers in order to figure out how he can address that issue. And hopefully Barcelona can come up with a solution. Now, another problem that Flick and others at the club, including Laporta and Deco, have noticed is that they have noticed a decline in solidarity and affinity of the players on and off the pitch. In other words, there's been less teamwork than they saw during last season. And this has kind of been going on for a while. As you guys all remember, Hansi Flick talked about egos in the locker room, and that kind of was blown out of proportion, and all these, media outlets, oh, egos, blah, blah, blah. Well, it seems like it's been a problem that's been brewing under the surface, where the team is not as cohesive, not as united as they were last season. Now, Flick and the board, or those in charge, have kind of attributed this to three different reasons. A, the youthfulness of the team. There's a lot of young players. They tend to they tend to become more individualistic. You're young, you just want to show off, you want to be the cool guy, blah, 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 blah. The second reason, presence of internal cliques. Now, of course, that has always existed in locker rooms. There's always like groups of friends that tend to, hang out more with each other than the rest of the team. But of course, that has started to affect the performance on the field, and that becomes a problem. And finally, lack of leadership in the dressing room. And of course, that's something that we have seen, especially with the departure of Íñigo Martinez. Now, two problems that Barcelona have to address, but the silver lining is that at least they're being identified. This is not like previous years where, it's the refs, it's the signings, it's the injuries, it's this, it's that. No, this is Flick saying, no excuses. Let's find out what's the root of the problem. Once we know what the problem is, let's figure out how to fix it. And that's how you improve. That's how you grow. That's how you get out of the rut that you're in, is admitting that there's a problem, finding out what the problem is, and then addressing it rather than come up with excuses. Now, Pep Guardiola has given some statements advising Hansi Flick on what to do with this situation where, again, disastrous performances against Sevilla and PSG, which have been talked about all around the world. Flick's system, the high line, this and that and this. And this is what Pep Guardiola, the best coach in the history of football, had to say to Hansi Flick. I'm not one to give advice, but some say, no, the problem with Barcelona's defense is with Barcelona's defense. Look, don't change anything. Just keep moving forward as you are now. It's natural that over time, opponents will find a way to hurt you. Isn't that the essence of the game? The team never stays the same forever. They'll find a solution, and then it will be up to Hansi to find a counter to that as well. It's not about changing the plan, but about adding new details that prevent opponents from exploiting weaknesses in football. Weaknesses. In football, stagnation destroys any team. It's not about changing the plan. Listen to this. It's not about changing the plan, but about adding new details that prevent opponents from exploiting weaknesses. Thank you, Pep, for saying this, because I've been saying this for weeks. People are like, the highline, the system, it needs to change, it doesn't work, opponents have figured it out. And I'm like, no, that's not what you do. You come up with a system, you teach it to your players, you implement it, and then you work on improving it and perfecting it. That's what you do. If you start with a system and then the minute that you hit a bump, you abandon it and you start with another system and then you abandon that one, well, you become a jack of all trades and a master of none. That's not how you become proficient at what you do. You pick something and you work on it day and night, improving it and perfecting it. Is it going to take time? Of course. Are there going to be ups and downs? 100%. Are you going to hit hurdles? Yes. But only by sticking to that system and only by working day and night to improve it is that you become so great at it. So thank you, Pep, for saying this. Because look, if you don't want to listen to me, I'm just a random guy on YouTube. Listen to the best coach in the history of football and, of course, the best coach in the history of FC Barcelona. Anyways, let's end this video with the news in regards to Gilberto Mora, the 16-year-old Mexican attacking midfielder currently plowing his trade at Los Cholos de Tijuana or Club Tijuana, someone that Barcelona have been tracking very closely, someone that many European clubs have been tracking very closely because he looks very, very promising, someone that a lot of you who watch the channel are very excited about and excited about the possibility of him coming to Barcelona. Of course, in the last video, I told you how Club Tijuana were telling the media that if anyone wants to sign Gilberto Mora, he would cost approximately 20 million euros. And I said, look, if that's the price, I think it's a pretty good price for a very promising player, because if this guy was Brazilian or Argentinian, he would probably cost triple of that, 60 million euros. So I said 20 million euros. It's actually pretty good price. Well, his agent, Rafaela Pimienta, the daughter of the late Mina Raiola, who was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, footballing agents in the world. She, of course, has inherited her father's empire, and she's now the agent of Gilberto Mora, was doing an interview on TV and was asked about him. And she said, 15, 20 million? He's like, that will not even buy you Gilberto Mora's leg. And then she went on to this long speech about how, Endrick was signed for 35 million plus bonuses that reached to 60 million. Vinicius was signed for 45. and talking about, all these young players. I guess you watch the channel. I'm kidding, of course. But, well, she pretty much said that Club Tijuana should not accept 20 million, and instead they should be accepting much, much higher, given that all these examples that she used that have come out of Brazil, who, clubs have paid a lot more money for. So it looks like Gilberto Mora's price will be shooting up, and if it does, well, say goodbye to any possibilities of Barcelona signing him. Anyways, that is all the news for this video. I did go live a few moments ago. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check it out. I'm going live again in a few moments, so stay around. Stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Visca Barça.